Over the years, I've tested some extreme fat loss diets that have in fact worked. I often say extremes lead to extreme disappointment. But in the context of losing an extreme amount of fat in a very short window of time, these 5 diets have met the tests. Now, full disclaimer, you would be insane to test out any of these for an extra day longer than they're prescribed. I'm gonna walk you through the name of the diet, where I heard about it, the protocol, and then my personal experience and takeaways. At the end, we'll rank them. The first extreme diet was 0 carbs with triple day training for 21 days. Now, why in the world would I do that? Because I had an opportunity to do a photo shoot with Iron Man magazine to launch a new column that I was awarded called From Twig to Big. So I seized that opportunity, being way behind schedule. I consulted with Big Ben Pekulski, and he said, dude, 0 carbs, 3 weeks, bust your butt in the gym as much as you can. So I turned that into 3 workouts. The workouts were 2 weight training sessions a day, and then some HIIT cardio in the evening time. The HIIT was about 20 minutes. The morning sessions were about 40 minutes each, but I was basically in the gym constantly, or at least that's what it felt like for a full 21 days. And the nutrition was so super simple. In fact, it created a bunch of freedom in my life because I was so focused on this photo shoot. It was 2 white protein sources a day. So either egg whites, an egg white omelet, and or chicken. And then I had 2 red meat dishes a day. So either ground beef and or steak, and then 2 protein shakes. So really easy. I pretty much lived surrounded by dishes, cleaning dishes, and in the gym sweating, and it got the job done, as you can see here. I'm actually thinking about doing this protocol again, a similar version of it in August. Let me know what you think. Maybe a little toned down, but this was one of the most extreme diets that created a massive amount of hunger. The biggest challenge with this one was my strength plummeted, and I felt really weak, and I just felt really lethargic on those last 7 to 10 days, but it got the job done. The second most extreme diet was the final 2 weeks before the WBFF World Fitness Model Championship. So to give this context, this is what I did to lose the final few pounds to go down to 4.8% body fat. I don't know exactly what I was before those 2 weeks, but similar story. I was a bit behind schedule, maybe a bit more than a bit, and I wanted paper thin skin. I didn't actually achieve it, but it was the leanest I ever got. And with 2 weeks before the show, Ben put me on the white fish diet. It was absolutely brutal. The way the day looked, it was beef in the morning with coconut oil and some veg. And then the next 5 meals in the day, I kid you not, was just white fish. I have not had tilapia, I kid you not, for over 13 years. I have such a reaction to just the thought of even smelling tilapia. Tilapia will never enter my home ever again. Ben, you got me shredded, man, but I will never buy another white fish in my life. The third extreme fat loss diet was actually a program that I sold and was one of my best-selling programs of all time. It was designed by the head coach of my coaching program, Ryan Failing. And Ryan is a little nuts. And I asked him to write me something that would get me shredded in a short window of time. So we created a 3-phase schedule. Let me break it down. There was 3 10-day cycles broken over the course of the month. So grab a pen, grab some paper. You're gonna wanna write this down. The first 10 days was ketogenic intermittent fasting. So I had 2 keto meals a day with an 18-hour fast. I'd eat at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. That was it. And I trained twice per day. The next 10 days was protein priming. We like to name our things in a way that catches people's attention if you haven't noticed. It was basically white protein for the next 10 days. So 4 meals a day, no fat, very, very low fat. Can't remember, I think it was like maybe 10% of the diet was fat, but it was purely protein and veg, but all from white sources of protein. So chicken, turkey, whites, egg whites, and shrimp and protein shake. And then after those 10 days, we had a high carb refeed day, exactly how it sounds. So the key here was not just a high carb refeed day, but it was a healthy carb. So it was a very strict rule. There was no junk food. The carb sources were white rice, white potatoes, red potatoes, or sweet potatoes. That was it. So we carved up in a healthy manner. And then for the next 9 days, we did something called what most people would know as the warrior diet. It was 1 meal per day. And it was a more balanced meal, kind of like a Chipotle type meal at the end of the day, balanced carbs, proteins, and fat. So I'd have double chicken, double rice, and some guacamole just once per day. And I am telling you, it was the highlight of my whole freaking year, those single meals. Now, the whole thing wraps up with one more healthy carb refeed day, and then you take your photo. And that healthy carb refeed day is the day you swell up, you look insane. And I'll post a picture here of what I look like at the end of my 30-day metabolic reboot. Each and every one of these cycles had different psychological and physiological experiences. I really loved the ketogenic intermittent fasting the most. I hated the white protein section because it's just so bland. It's a very boring meal plan, and I just don't like chicken and turkey. And egg whites are so-so. Protein shakes, you can only get so many per week. That was the toughest part for me from just a mindset standpoint. From a craving standpoint, the last 10 days was insane. If you got 30 days and want to put your willpower to the test, the 30-day metabolic reboot plan is insane. It also comes with a full-blown training program, and the workouts are adapted to the cycle you're in as well. Pretty sure I discontinued that program. If I should bring it back to life, let me know in the comments. I'm thinking about maybe bringing back some fitness offers in 2025. We'll see. The next extreme diet was 7 days of prayer and fasting that I learned about through my church in Franklin, Tennessee, called Church of the City. So I have never actually taken part in a 7-day fast. So what I did for 7 days was I ate nothing. I only drank water. And this was the week where I had my kids half the week. And the hardest part about this diet was making my kids lunches every day, taking them skiing on the weekends on zero food. The first 2 days were by far the hardest. Like the second day, I'm like, this is dumb. I'm not gonna make it. What's the point? But the whole intention is to supplement the fasting with prayer. And I was on these early morning walks in the dark, and I have never felt closer to God in my life than during this time of prayer and fasting. And the last extreme diet I did was 75 hard. I think everybody's heard of 75 hard from Andy Frisell. I post a video here you can check out with my full experience on this program. This one was kind of tough to gauge because he gets you to create your own diet. And I think that I made the diet a tad easy, if you will, where I allowed, say, for carb sources, cereals. And cereal, some would disqualify. Now, I made sure the cereal had less than 4 grams of sugar, but cereal is kind of easier to eat than, say, oatmeal. So I think 75 hard could have been much harder if I'd been more strict on my diet protocol. Now, what was tough with 75 hard is the 2-day workouts. No matter what, for 75 days. And I started January 1st in Canada, so there were days where it was like minus 40 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it was ridiculous to go outside. I would wear like 2 snowsuits just to go for a walk. The diet was tough because of the double-day workouts and because you had to stay consistent through the weekends, obviously, and there was 0 cheat meals. There was a lot of saying no and just being consistent with a really bland and boring diet with what felt like no end in sight. All right, let's rank these. I would probably say the 7-day fast would have been the easiest. And you might find that weird to say because you didn't eat for 7 days, but if you can get through the first 2 days, you'll probably lock in. It's pretty hard to cave from day 3 to 7 once you're like, holy crap, I haven't eaten for 2 freaking days. You're like, I gotta finish this. The second easiest probably would have been the no carbs for 21 days, probably because I had the photo shoot at the end of it. If I didn't have the photo shoot, I don't think I could have done it. I had way too much on the line. And again, it was a black or white diet. It was no carbs. There was no opportunity to kind of like dabble with some carbs. I find the diets get harder when you start to dabble with sources of foods that, for my experience, make you want to eat more of them. The third hardest would have been 75 hard. 75 hard was just hard because it never felt like there was an end in sight. It was just dragging on, and it was very bland and boring, but I think that was the point of it. The fourth hardest would have been the 30-day Metabolic Reboot, because that program buries you. Not only are you in a deficit from your nutrition, but the workout program is intense. And I would say by far the hardest diet I've ever done in my life, which is something I define it as hard because I never want to do it again. It was the final 2 weeks before the WBFF World Fitness Model Championships when Ben had me eat white fish 5 times a day for 2 weeks with just beef. And the thought of having to cook more tilapia, I will never do that diet ever again. You'll have to pay me at least, I'll do it for 10,000 bucks. I'd do it again.
Wait a minute.
I will never buy another white fish in my life.
I never buy another white fish in my life.
I'll do it for 10,000 bucks. I'd do it again.
What?
What? I want to hear from you. What's been the toughest, most extreme diet that you've ever tried below? And of the diets I just shared, which one piqued your curiosity? Which one would you try? Which one are you interested in? Which one do you have questions about? Let me know below. And again, I want to clearly state, I am not telling you guys you need to go do these diets. I'm simply sharing some cool experiences that I've had. And I do believe that there is a time and place for extremes. But obviously, we all know that when you're on a diet, you eventually have to come off of a diet. I want to just share that, make sure we don't have any silly people thinking these are things you can do indefinitely. These have a very extreme design in place to get a massive output in a very short window of time that is well over and above what could ever be considered sustainable or realistic results in these time frames. Until next time, level up or level off.